Hey, welcome to the Wisconsin Drunken History Podcast. We are your hosts, Eric Sturgeon.
And I'm Russell Sari.
This podcast is about all things Wisconsin, history, music, culture, and beer. Although we don't often use strong language, the content is not intended for young audiences, so listener discretion is advised.
If you love the bluegrass music you hear in this intro, please check out Dang It's from Madison, Wisconsin by visiting their website, dang-its.com. Now on to the show.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Wisconsin Drunken History Podcast, your weekly dose of the Dairy State. We, of course, are your hosts, Eric.
And I'm Russ.
All right, today we have a pretty cool episode for you. We are talking about another one of the legendary Milwaukee beer barons. I think this is like the final one we have left, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably a couple more, like Old Style and the Heileman.
Sure.
Probably, but yeah, we're getting close to We've
covered most of the big ones, and this is that kind of final piece of the puzzle to kind of complete the beer baron. What is it? It's not the trifecta. It's like the
top dogs.
These are the top dogs. Yeah.
The top dogs.
We are talking about Frederick Miller of Miller Brewing. This is one that we've sort of been holding out for, but
yeah, and I'll explain some of the controversies and why.
Yeah. So we also have great Wisconsin music from Man Random. We have a special guest interview with 1840 Brewing. We, of course, have a beer review and another edition of the infamous How Many Locos You At? So, as always, please like, subscribe, rate, review, share, comment, tell a friend. Just reach over, touch the guy sitting next to you, tap the gal sitting to your left.
Hey there. Oh, check her out.
Yeah, exactly. Just see what they say. Honestly,
yeah, for sure.
Any little bit helps. This is exposure not only for myself and Russ in this show, it's also exposure for all of the different guests that we have, breweries, bands, all that stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, just a quick reminder to stop by the T Public store and check out some of the different swag, T-shirts, all the different things that we have available. All of our logos and designs were done by a friend of ours and an incredible independent artist/designer. Her name is Steph. We've posted her website on many of our Instagram and Facebook posts.
Phenomenal artist.
Go reach out if you need stuff done. She's absolutely amazing, and we love the stuff that we have received so far.
Oh, heck yeah.
And we know that you have as well, because the T-shirts and the designs are flying off the shelf. So continue to reach out and buy all of that cool stuff and represent.
Helps us out too with our server costs. So we really appreciate any sale we get. We get a few bucks from a shirt. It helps us out, just pay our bills. Honestly, it's great. We really appreciate it.
The unfortunate side of podcasting is it's not necessarily the most cheap thing you can do.
And you're not going to be a millionaire, but we just love doing what we do. So
yeah, we're just doing it for most of the shits and the giggles of the whole thing anyway.
Exactly.
So it helps us pass some time and drink some beers. So without any further ado, here is the story on Frederick Miller and Miller Brewing.
So I think me and my co-host both have some mixed feelings about Miller, and that's why we kind of hesitated on this episode with all the latest acquisitions, but we still wanted to talk about the history here, as I don't think Fred would have wanted his company ran the way it is today and sold out to a corporate conglomerate. As he is quoted as saying, he wanted the product quality, uncompromising, and unchanging. However, we won't get too deep into that and our own controversies and opinions on Miller, but this episode will be specific to the man himself, Frederick, and not focusing on the entire history of the brewery itself. As we will likely do another episode at some point to cover that, because Fred lived a very interesting life. And
for sure.
I mean, me and you have mixed feelings. I still drink Miller, but at the same time, I have mixed feelings about Miller.
And honestly, to give a little precursor, this is more a story of Fred Miller and less a story of Miller Brewing Company.
Exactly. So Frederick Miller was born on November 24th of 1824. I'm sorry.
1824.
1824. His original name.
1998.
Just making up dates here. So, his original name was Frederick Edward Johannes Müller, out of Germanic name of Redlingen, Württemberg territory in Germany. At the age of 14, he traveled to France to study languages, and for 7 years he would learn Latin, French, and English. Due to being hailed from the Germanic ancestral aristocrats, including a lot of scholars and diplomats are in the Miller name. He received roughly about $3,000 annually, a large sum at the time due to his family owning a lot of real estate in the Redlingen area in Germany. And on his way home, he landed in Nancy, France, where his uncle was a brewer. So he decided he would stay and learn the trade, working his way through various departments to learn the trade as much as he could, while he could take it all in, because he wasn't sure what he's going to do, but he knows all these languages. It's just kind of that in-between stage. And while living in Germany, he married his first wife, Josephine Miller, in Friedrichshafen in June 7th of 1853. And they had their first son, Joseph Edward Miller, 1 year later in 1854. The family decided to look for new opportunities due to the large political unrest and growing restrictions in Germany. They decided to leave for the New World, where they arrived in 1854 in New York. And during this time, Germany's going through a lot of things. This is before World War I, but there's a lot of things happening in Germany where they're like, we need to go before all this stuff takes place. Political unrest and instability. So, let's get out of here.
I think a lot of really great stories begin that same way.
Yeah, my parents left because of the Bolsheviks. You know, like they're like, we got to get out of Finland because the Bolsheviks are happening.
There's political issues. There's economic issues. There is a war, some sort of unrest that is so great that it compromises your ability to just live a decent life, and therefore you got to make that ultimate crazy decision, something that's so impactful, to leave and just get to an area that is the free world.
And even to this day, we have, like, I feel for Syrian refugees and I feel for Venezuelan refugees. They have nowhere to go. You're going to want to go somewhere with opportunity.
And honestly, the more individuals that we are able to get into the United States, it will help increase our different areas of like science and math and things that we've honestly fallen off of in the coming years.
Exactly. And a lot of these people are willing to do the work that we don't want to do. They're not taking our jobs. They're doing things nobody wants to do. Nobody wants to sit and pick potatoes for 12 hours a day. I'm going to be honest with you.
But I feel like it's a bigger thing of, hey, that could be the next Albert Einstein. Right. That could be the next individual to create something or to invent something that so impacts and changes our whole world.
Exactly.
And to have those individuals and geniuses here in the United States, where it is a free world and where we have a lot of things at their disposal, whereas maybe the country they're coming from is limiting on that.
Exactly. And that's exactly it. So Fred Miller, he continued to explore and ride steamships around the world, around the United States. And he eventually discovered Milwaukee, where, he decided, due to the large Germanic population that was already established, that he moved to Wisconsin in 1855. He's like, this is where I want to be. This is
honestly, this is the melting pot.
It is.
We have a great many, German heritages, but holy smokes, man, we've got a ton of every bits and piece, which is great. I love Wisconsin for that reason.
It's so interesting too to find out, like you had the Germans and Italians settle here, and it's just an ongoing thing. So they had hatred towards the Irish because they were coming in taking jobs, but then the Irish didn't like the Scandinavians that were coming, and then it's an ongoing thing. It's like,
which is crazy.
It is.
You've seen the story of like the Four Corners or something.
Yeah,
the New York the gangs or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Or what they called the gangs. I don't think even then they referred to it as that, but now they do. But yeah, that would be crazy to arrive at the island and literally be intaking, and you've got Germans, Italians,
right?
All these people kind of mixed at that same border, and and to potentially have that kind of argument. But hey, Fred made his way to Wisconsin, which
good choice.
Yeah, absolutely. Find the people of kind of your same descent and thought. Awesome.
Yeah, so it is said that Miller always dressed and acted like a Frenchman because he was in France, but he's still German, but he's kind of a Frenchman dressed at the time.
So but pinkies in the air on that one, right?
Yeah, but due to his love for beer and the Germanic history, he quickly became well-liked through the Milwaukee area. They were one of the fortunate families to have a bit of gold to bring with them and a sum of roughly $9,000, which is a nice start for a family back then.
Huge.
I mean, huge. Yeah. So shortly after arriving in Milwaukee, he purchased the Plank Road Brewery, now part of the Miller campus, which me and Eric just were at, actually.
Yeah, just got kicked out of.
Yeah, exactly. For a sum of $8,000, which was started by Frederick Charles Best, but was abandoned in 1854. At once, he began brewing beer, and during this time period of barrel beer, it would cost you a mere $5 for a barrel, and about 3 to 5 cents at a tavern for a pint of beer. Yeah.
I mean, what's the return on investment for that then?
It's still huge. I mean, they had, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit so you can understand why it was like such a great location. So, and according to one employee, on one of the first days of work, black bear peeked out of a bush in front of the brewery. Hi. Yeah, black bear were this far south back then. And
hey, motherfucker.
he actually took a break from work.
Give me a brew.
He actually took a break from work to go hunt this bear. Like
nice.
He's a fun guy. He was just really great to his employees, and people loved him. And he was kind to all of his employees. And due to the brewery being a bit away from Milwaukee, which it's not now that you look at it, like when we drive there, but like when you like were back then, we had to go downtown Milwaukee back out to the brewery. It's a decent trek.
Well, and I'd imagine if there's not like established roads and highways and things,
exactly,
it doesn't look the way it does now. So it would probably be a trek.
So he opened a boarding house for unmarried employees next to the brewery so they could stay close to the brewery and be close to work, which is
really awesome. I know. That's super supportive of your employees.
Yeah, he's really investing in his company and his employees, which is really cool. He even paid them quite well for the time period, and their wages were roughly $480 to $1,300 annually, plus meals and lodging, which is awesome. I mean, that's great money. Now. It's great money back then.
Here's $50. That's your...
Here, yeah, right here. It is crazy. Here's a bit of glimpse and like how things worked at the brewery back then. These are letters from Frederick himself. So in 1879, a letter to relatives in Germany, Miller described the meals of the employees, which began work at 4 a.m. Breakfast for single men. Married men ate with their families at 6 o'clock in the morning, consisting of coffee and bread, beefsteak, or some other roasted meat, potatoes, eggs, and butter. Lunch at 9 o'clock consists of a meat portion, cheese, bread, and pickles. The 12 o'clock midday meal consists of soup, choice of 2 meats, vegetables, cakes, etc. And then the evening meal at 6 o'clock consisted of meat, salad, eggs, tea, and cakes, which that's phenomenal. I mean, it's just so cool for that time period that he was that kind of person.
Also, just sort of looking at the times that they ate. Look at that. 6 o'clock breakfast. I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
But then a 9 o'clock. It's only been 3 hours, and now you're eating lunch. And then 12 o'clock, you're eating a midday meal. I'd imagine that the portions are much smaller than what we think of, like a three-meal kind of thing.
Yeah. And then,
that's honestly, what job now would do any of this at all?
Very few, So the day included a rest period from noon until 1, and work concluded at 6 p.m. Miller himself arose at 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. each day during the summer to energetically tour the brewery and write a few letters. And after 7 a.m., breakfast of Swiss cheese with rye bread and fresh butter and a large cup of coffee with cream. Miller devoted the rest of his morning to correspondence and like replying to people and writing letters. And
taking a morning dump.
We all got to do that.
Swiss cheese, bread, and coffee.
If you have a coffee in you, it's coming out.
Maybe a small dart, too. A nice cigarette.
He spent his afternoons attending the business outside of the office, including trips to post office, bank, railroad office to make purchases, and he went to bed about 8 p.m. in the winter and 9 p.m. in the summertime. So the sun's out a little later. He stay up a little later.
Yeah, yeah.
And Miller was a very resourceful businessman, establishing a beautiful beer garden that attracted weekend crowds for bowling, dancing, fine lunches, and the old-fashioned Gemütlichkeit, which is like the German word, you perceive it in America as like a way of life, like happy feeling. It's hard to explain because there's no great translation to it, but it's a happy feeling.
Yeah.
A great, like just an outgoing, having a couple beers with the buddies, hanging out. That's Gemütlichkeit.
Having a couple of beers and slapping hands.
And So Miller wrote, when all plods through the week and has dealt with all sorts of problems, one is entitled to enjoying his life on Sundays and holidays and should not complain about spending a few more dollars or a few more less. And that was just his way of saying that, like, come on out, spend a couple bucks, have fun.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, forget about it.
Forget about it.
He also owned land in various parts of the United States, and one of the more famous ones that he did own was in the UP of Michigan that has since become Craig Lake State Park. And Josephine, who was his first wife, died in April 1816 due to the influenza virus while traveling back and forth between Germany or during childbirth. It's technically unknown and unrecorded, so nobody knows the true death of Josephine.
But either way, it was April of 1860.
Exactly, and he was forced to be a father as well, as his wife left him with Louisa, just then age of 2 at the time of her death. And Milwaukee was issuing burial certificates at a rate of about 60 to 70 per week because of all the cholera.
Yeah.
So like it's kind of unknown why Josephine died. It could have been influenza, cholera, or the childbirth. Yes. And his children with Josephine also passed. A lot of his children for various reasons, including the infancy and like deliveries weren't as well, back then. And
Louisa died of tuberculosis too at the age of 16.
Yeah, she, that was the one he had at 2 years old, and it kind of haunted him through his entire life. And it's hard to lose nobody wants to bury their child. You know, it's pretty tragic. And later in 1860, he married Lizette Gross, in which they had several children who also died in infancy. But they did have 5 children who made it through, including Ernst, Emil, Fred, Clara, and Elise. But, I mean, what a tragic life for Frederick. He lost a lot of kids and a lot of his family. It's just hard.
That would be super devastating to lose a child in infancy.
I know. I have a boy. If I were to lose him, I don't know how well I'd hold up. I'll be honest with you here. I mean, I'm a pretty strong person, strong-willed, but, dude, I want my kid to throw me in the ground. You know what I mean? That's just how it should be. So. Yeah. And in 1879, a letter, Miller offers a glimpse into his personal torments because of all this. Think of me and what I had to endure. I have lost several children and a wife in the flower of their youth. I myself was at death's door several times, and still God did not forsake me. Instead, I was manifestly blessed in the autumn of my life, which is a great way to look at it. You know, I mean, at least he was keeping his spirits up with all this tragedy around him.
Yeah.
And he said, whenever I think of all of them, how they were taken away from me so quickly and unexpectedly, I became sad and melancholy. In spite of all the misfortune and fateful blows, I never lost my head. After every blow, just as a bull, I just jumped back higher and higher. And I mean, that's kind of how you have to be,
Well, I think it speaks highly to a message of, hey, you have your time to mourn, you have your time to be grief-stricken, but also there's other people that rely on you to be strong and to move forward and to grow, obviously taking time to still remember, but you still got to push past.
Exactly. And lastly, he wrote, whenever I think about it, I realize we must submit ourselves without murmur or complaint to the unexplained wisdom of God, and that such wisdom transcends human understanding. Right. It's like there's no answer for it. Things happen. It's life, and
I think that's a great way of helping yourself kind of push through and overcoming these incredible things, roadblocks and hurdles that could, it could take the strongest of individual right down. And it really does. It takes a really powerful individual to overcome. I mean,
he crafted such a great product, but it's it's like we said, we didn't want to get too deep into the Miller Brewery.
In some ways, hey, the beer helped him, persevere.
I mean, and I think he would be a little frustrated that they cheapened the beer that they sold off, and that's why we didn't get into that today. The Miller Brewery itself.
I think at some point we may touch on that. It's especially a hot topic right now with the naming rights to the Milwaukee Brewers stadium being changed. And all of that is really a direct reflection of the Miller name not being owned by, Miller Brewing at all.
Yeah, right.
It's a completely conglomerated
conglomerations. Yeah. It's messed up. But, yeah. So in 1888, Fred's life would come to an end, close, at the age of 63, and he is buried in Cavalry Cemetery in Milwaukee following the death. The brewery was run by his 3 surviving sons and son-in-law, Carl Miller, who coincidentally was from German and same last name, though there was no relation at all. Miller was a common name. Like if you were an actual Miller, you got Miller as a name.
Right.
You know, it's like Richard's son. Like there's many Richard's sons because there's a Richard who had a son, so you're Richard's son.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just kind of, or like you would take
Surnames
on,
are a crazy thought process.
yeah, like Smith, for example. Like you were probably a blacksmith, so they just called you Smithy or Smitty,
Right.
and so it became Smith, and then it just kind of traveled on. So there's millions of blacksmiths out there, you know. So
not all
Smith.
of the same bloodline or
Exactly.
descent,
But his family leaves like a, you know, long-lasting legacy in Milwaukee, and even to this day. And he's just one of the legendary brew barons in the history of Wisconsin. And I had to feature him, even though, you know, we have our little indifferences with Miller at this point. You know, a lot of people do. But, you know, he's just a great person.
They still employ an amazing amount of people right here in the state of Wisconsin, in the city of Milwaukee. And, I mean, honestly, you can't fault that. So
and they produce a lot of the great cheap beer I still drink to this day, like Pabst and MGD once in a while, High Life. I still sip on those. Like I don't always have a budget for craft beer. You know,
my dad's more a High Life drinker. I've really gotten to that point where I'll enjoy a craft beer, and if I am thinking of, you know, just going out and having a few too many maybe.
Yeah.
I really honestly prefer Busch Light over any of them at this point.
Yeah. You know, once in a while I'll grab a case of PBR or a Miller High Life if I'm going to a buddy's house, just because we're going to be drinking that all night, you know, and we don't want to get trashed. And it, like, you know, you drink you and your buddy have like 4 or 5 cans of beer, right? And, you know, you're hanging out for 6 hours. So you just got like that. You're just maintaining a buzz at that point and you're hydrating yourself, honestly.
4 or 5 cans over what? Did you say 6 hours?
Yeah. Like, that's not too
I'm never
bad.
that slow.
I'm nursing them, all right?
Fuck?
I work in a hospital nursing them here. So
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want a nipple for that? Jesus Christ.
Do you want you want a baby bottle to sip on those?
It sounds like they're getting warm. That's probably why you're so turned off by it. Drink them while they're cold.
Holy smokes. But that's going to conclude our main segment for today, and now on to the music segment.
All right, so we are on to our music segment, and of course, we have an amazing band from right here in Wisconsin. This is Milwaukee's own Man Random. I have seen Man Random at a few different shows. I've seen them at a house show in Bayview. I've seen them at Frank's Power Plant, I think, in Bayview as well.
I definitely played that location.
Yeah, absolutely. So. I've had a show there. And so the thing that I love most about these guys is that they're pop punk. They're just kind of straightforward with really cool power chord progressions, really good straightforward beats, and the vocals are, again, one of those top notch things where they've definitely spent some time understanding how singing really should be done instead of just barking into a microphone.
I really like the high-pitched guitar hooks, too.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Those are really cool, like the overlay of like the guitar hook. It's catchy.
The leads, too, every once in a while, where it just comes into kind of like almost like a solo. Absolutely phenomenal stuff. I absolutely love everything in their discography. You can find them on Spotify, Bandcamp, and all of those different areas. So I encourage everybody to kind of explore and get out there and find all of the different stuff by Man Random. We have chosen a song called Death Perception. It is definitely one of those newer ones from, I believe, 2020. So get out there, check it out. These guys are absolutely amazing. Again, this is Man Random, Death Perception.
I can see it, I can feel it, everything drags me down. Use my words to portray my reality, spiraling to the ground. Let us see if we can do this before time runs out. How much more can I put up with till I wear myself out? Maybe if we try to get right down to the point here, maybe I could try to finally see what's keeping me here. to the feeling of having you with me. Maybe I could try to get out of this one myself. Everything I do burns down in flames emotionally. I'm a total red. If I'm aware, then I will finally deal with it. Everything I do burns down in flames emotionally. I'm a total red. I just need someone to listen to me ramble on and on, but nothing seems to work. Reaching out always brings me hurt. On and on, but nothing seems to work. Reaching out always brings me hurt. Always brings me hurt. Always brings me hurt.
All right. Again, that was Man Random, Death Perception. Check them out. They're definitely worth diving in on their discography, seeing the rest of those songs, and then also keep in touch with them on social media to find out when they're releasing new stuff, or, hey, if 2021 produces any live music events.
Right on.
They're
yeah.
definitely a great band to see live.
Dude, they're awesome stuff, man.
I'm
telling you.
It's absolutely phenomenal. And they'll probably tour with some of the other great artists like Telethon and different bands that we've already featured too. So you'll get a chance to see a bunch of cool stuff if you go out and see them live. So on to our beverage review. This one comes to us from 1840 Brewing Company right in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. To be more specific, it's Bayview. And another one of these fantastic newer kind of pop-ups. These guys are amazing.
Yeah, they're awesome. And we actually have Kyle coming on later to discuss a little bit more about 1840. But yeah, as Eric said, 1840 is from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And we're actually lucky enough to try the Rab, which is an ESB or extra special bitter ale.
Yeah.
And it's coming in at 6.4% alcohol by volume. And so this beer specifically on the bottle, it's a limited release, so there's a batch number on there. So it's English beers are known for their balance and drinkability. ESB or extra special bitter is the style that lives up to the rule.
This is perfect for you.
Around malt character is balanced by crisp noble hops, lighter in carbonation with a dry finish. It leaves you wanting another sip. And me and Eric are actually drinking batch number 210102.
Jesus Christ! I just smashed it against my microphone.
Oh,
too.
cripes! But yeah, like Eric said, they're from the historic neighborhood of Bayview, specifically 342 East Ward Street. So you gotta check these guys out. Super fresh, super crisp, delicious beer, bitter,
Absolutely amazing.
It's great. What do you think initially from your first sips here?
Yeah, so I'm getting an incredibly good balance of like the malt and then a little bit of that hop, and it's not overly on either side. It's not on the extremes.
Yeah.
So what's cool is it's well balanced.
Yeah, it has a really dry after finish, but it's just like the initial taste of it is just like what I want from a beer. Like it's super tasty. It's like just refreshing. I'm super refreshed.
I like it. Yeah.
So it's great. I honestly like can't wait to hear.
If I was able to run a mile, I would do that, and then I would drink this.
Oh hell yeah! Or do some yoga, which I'm terrible at. I would fucking sip this after yoga. Hell yeah!
This could definitely do, yeah. And again, this is a drink slow beer. It says right on the label, this is meant to be enjoyed over time. You don't slam. You're not gonna puncture a hole through the side of this bottle if you could, and do like a shotgun of this thing. This is a well crafted quality brew. Don't waste it on chugging or anything like that. This is an absolutely just again well crafted, just careful in every aspect. And if you have a chance, go check out their facility.
Definitely.
I checked it out. Had a chance to pick up this beer personally, and it's again one of those ones that I'm a fan of. 1840 is one of those companies that I'm definitely going to find myself hopefully sitting at, bellied up to the bar, having one or two, while I'm exploring Milwaukee.
Exactly. And I just kind of wanted to give a little bit of like what the can looks like, or the bottle we're drinking. So it's a pint bottle. It's really cool because it looks like an old medicine bottle from like the 1800s. It's very cool.
Yeah.
It has like a Victorian wallpaper look to it. Like there's just really cool like swirls and like floral design, and like they just really stuck to the 1840 image. You know what I mean? It's just very cool. And honestly, it's just such a great beer. I've had some English beers, like some English dry beers, and this like is right up there with like top-notch crafting.
This is arguably one of my favorite beers that we have done any sort of a review on. So
it's very good. If you get a chance, like we said, please stop at 1840 and try this one out. It's called RAB, RAB. ESB, or Extra Special Bitter Ale. And like I said, it's just great, well crafted, another Milwaukee staple you gotta go and check out. And if you ever get a chance, make a day out of it. Go to multiple breweries and do a little sampler at each one, because there's so many good ones in Milwaukee now. Every week it seems like there's another one coming out. It's so great that we're bringing that beer culture back to Milwaukee, which we originally are known for.
And you could easily make a day out of it. Like Russ said, you could start on the outskirts of Milwaukee, start in like a neighborhood like Bayview.
Yeah.
Start working your way towards Walker's Point, up KK, 1st and 2nd, and then also work your way then into the downtown region and start hitting some of those lakefronts, which is just on the outside of the downtown area.
Right off the river there.
Right off, like over by River West.
Yeah, right, River West. It's just
and then other great River West Black Husky. Those are just some of those ones that you could definitely make an entire day of stopping and having, one beer at each one of those places. Do that responsibly, of course. Otherwise, we'll see you in our next segment.
and honestly, we have the Hophead Tour, which actually is downtown Milwaukee. You can take the Hophead Tour and go to multiple things, and then you can specify like a hotel. Like you can register like all your friends. They'll drop you off at a hotel, pass out in your hotel room. Don't drive after this if you're gonna explore all these breweries. Get a sampler at each. Try out a whole bunch of beers and
ahead of time. Make sure that you have the Uber or Lyft app loaded on your phone. Make sure that your debit card or your credit card is associated with that app, and then just be responsible. Those drivers are absolutely there for that reason.
Yeah, and hell, head up the Tavern League. It still applies to Milwaukee.
That
so
too.
You can do any of those options. But yeah, please drink Wisconsinably. Grab a couple of these beers. Try samplers at all these breweries. Definitely stop at 1840. We're highly recommending this one, the ESB. Holy smokes, it's good.
Yeah. Also, just a reminder, we did pre-order the Drink Wisconsinably Brandyland. It's a game. Yeah, so it's a game that I believe is coming out in June is when it ships. But they were taking pre-orders a few weeks ago. I put one in right away. So it is their version, basically, of like a Candyland type game,
a Liquorland,
but with all sorts
Holy
of
smokes.
brandy, old fashioned brandy cocktail themed things on the board. So we will 100% be making a video of this thing once we receive it, and that'll be in just a couple months in June.
Wow, I can't wait.
All right. Now on to our how many locals you at. Getting a little wild there.
Yeah, hell yeah.
All right. So this one, deserving of our little bit of wild character antics there. Let's just read the title here. It says, "I'm drunk. Driver tells police following hit and run crash." Oh, really?
Oh, right.
Holy smokes. You really are, huh? So an Arkdale man was up front with a Madison police officer Monday night after crashing his van into several parked vehicles on the city's north or near east side. "I'm drunk. Can we just go to jail?" said the individual, who's 52, when approached by the officer at about 6:30 p.m. Holy shit, that's early.
Yeah, he's been going hard.
And that was on the North Sherman Avenue at North Brearley Street. Brearley. Is that right?
I think so. Yeah,
right.
Close enough. Hey.
So the individual did go to jail, tentatively charged with his alleged 6th drunk driving offense, along with hit and run to an unattended vehicle and having open intoxicants in the motor vehicle.
Holy smokes.
The police were sent to the scene when the owner of one of the damaged parked cars called police as the individual's van came to a stop. The front driver's side wheel was missing and an airbag had been deployed. There was many full and empty beer cans in the van. I mean, why even do a mobile bar type thing? Don't serve yourself.
Hey, if you got a minivan, what else are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
Have a bar in there.
What the fuck? What am I saying? Yeah. You should have a bar there.
Yeah, right. It's a minivan, dude. You need a bar in there.
Don't take our advice.
Yeah, definitely not.
Maybe talk to this 52-year-old idiot.
He'll help you out.
Yeah, this guy will give
He'll
you the
construct a bar in there for you.
He'll give you the right direction here. The individual apparently had said he was, drinking beer at a bar as well. So
nice.
It's not like he was in his own mobile minivan bar, the old Dodge Carabar. He didn't realize that he had been involved in a crash.
Right, and he said, "I'm drunk. Can we just go to jail?"
I'm telling you, that means your lights out.
Yeah, you're done.
You're grossly...
He knows he's going. He's ready to go. Just cuff me, bro.
You are grossly overserved, partially due to your own negligence, but you have definitely effed some vehicles, and you're definitely going to jail. And a 6th offense.
Yeah, right. So he's a veteran of drinking, too. We don't have a lot of information here, but we know it's, we have his age. We have a little bit of information here. So...
Yeah. He's been at a bar. He's been drinking in his own car. This is his 6th. He's a veteran of the game of drink and drive. Yeah. He definitely told police that he didn't even know that he was involved in a crash. He hit many parked vehicles. I feel pretty confident in where I'm at here.
I got this one.
You think
in the bag? Yeah, I know.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Should we do it?
All right. So on 3. Or after 3, we're going to reveal our
sounds
our number
good
here, okay? 1, 2, 3, 16. All right.
Oh, man.
Nice.
Nux, dude. Yeah, definitely a 4-can of Loco on this one. If you didn't know he's involved in an accident, he's past the 12-can because you're still functioning. You might have some impaired penis judgment.
Yeah.
On 16, but like this is like he couldn't function in this one. Like and he doesn't even know he's in an accident. So 16 on my...
And we've had a couple recently in the past episodes where we've maybe been a little bit undecided as far as you and I have a split between us as far as what it is. But honestly, the end result here is similar to those where the individual was so drunk and so bizarrely, out of body, experience.
Right.
That, he claims he doesn't even know that he was involved in a crash. Who doesn't know they're involved in a crash? Come on.
Right. Yeah.
So between you and I think we were both able to educatedly say it takes at least 3 to 4 cans in order to kind of get to that point where you can exit your body, but also still be somehow in control. And that's that perfect Loco amount. Anywhere between 3 and 4 cans, it's you, but it's not you. And you are going to be the one responsible for what you didn't do.
The reason I love this segment so much is such an inside joke because when we so I had a house in Janesville and I had a roommate at the time, Mike, and Eric would come over and stay and we just be all kind of passing out. We're like, how many Locos you at from the upstairs, and that was just how this thing came about. It's so cool. It's
the real origin story of this was on our way to Colorado.
Oh yeah, we talked to Mike in the back seat. How many Locos you at, bro?
Right. We would definitely keep track of where we were at. Obviously, we were smart about it in terms of the driver isn't necessarily doing the drink, but it definitely is a funny story of how this came about. Judging yourself based on the amount of Loco cans you've drank, but absolutely fun stuff. This one is a 16. I'm going to go ahead and sound the gavel on this.
You hammer off. Today we're here with Kyle from 1840. How you doing, Kyle?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so today, can you give us a little background about 1840, how you guys got the name and got your start?
Totally. So 1840 was the first year a commercial brewery started in the city of Milwaukee. and that was 6 years before Milwaukee was actually incorporated as a city. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, it's kind of an important historical time in Milwaukee's brewing heritage, if you will. And so we picked that because not only is it cool to tie to that date that not a lot of people are aware of, but also we make a lot of really classic styles. So I really like to make saisons, bière de garde, Berliner Weiss, a lot of just like super historical styles. We do a lot of things in barrels, a lot of barrel fermentations, barrel aging. So a lot of, the most automated thing up until we bought our fancy bottling line was our pump, and pretty much everything else we do is real farmhouse style. We kind of call ourselves an urban farmhouse brewery. And so, the name does two things. It ties together that point in history and also calls to mind the types of beers that we make.
Right.
Yeah, I love, so we got the ESB or extra special bitter ale here, and I love the artwork. It ties back into that Victorian period, like the late 1800s, early 1900s. It's just so cool. Like your graphic artists props. So
yeah, it's an absolutely.
Yeah, we actually work with a local firm here in Bayview called Rev Pop, and they do a phenomenal job for us. And just it's all in the details. So as you can see, you guys are drinking the RAB ESB. So you have our bottle in front of you. It's kind of like a apothecary bottle, like a medicine type bottle.
Yes.
And when we were branding it, I'm like, I kind of want the vibe of those traveling medicine show salesmen that would go around in the 1800s.
Oh yeah.
And
Hell yeah.
sell snake oil and whatnot. So we kind of wanted that vibe. So a lot of the colors we use in our labels are kind of a little bit more old school, muted, and Red Pop does a really good job of embodying the vibe that we were going to go with. And like I said, it's the details. If you look at our logo, a lot of people miss the turtle. Can you see it?
I can't. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a turtle, a little a barrel back turtle going on.
Literally, the barrel is the back of that turtle. His legs are out front. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of people miss that. They look at the 1840, they see the organic detail on the top, and they don't even realize. So I love pointing that out. And our tagline is "Drink slow beer." And that's because, yes, we do make a lot of beer in barrels. We age in barrels and ferment in barrels, and that takes a long time.
Oh, yeah.
For example, I just released a beer not long ago that took 18 months to make.
Wow.
So we do make slow beer from a time standpoint, but really we kind of embody that ethos in everything that we do. So you guys are drinking an ESB. That's a beer that we made in a couple of weeks. So it took about three or 4 weeks. So that's quick, relatively speaking, but we put a lot of thought and effort into researching the style, tasting different commercial examples of ESBs, making sure we source hops that are from the region of the world where that beer originated. So to us, slow beer is really about, we want to put a lot of thought and effort into crafting high quality beverages. And then we hope that our customers spend that same thoughtfulness and time and share them with friends and kind of just slow down a little bit and enjoy them as well. And so that's kind of, what we try to embody with everything we do.
Awesome. And yeah, we were going to ask too with, I know things are kind of weird with COVID going on, but is there any way, is 1840 ready for us to get down there and get a little boozy?
Not just yet. We are still doing to go only.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys have ever been, but we have a very small tap room.
Yeah.
And, we thankfully have had an amazing reception to what we do. And so when we are open, it's usually packed. And so for us to, and people just have a really good experience there, a lot of positive energy in that room. And so the last thing I want to do is be open, but only be allowed to have like 12 people in there so we can space everybody out properly. And then we're turning more people away than we're accepting. And that's just going to kind of like add some negative energy to the space I don't want. So for now, we're thankful that our customers are coming and they're buying beer to go and they're still keeping the support flowing. But for now, we're still kind of working on our timeline as far as when we're going to be able to open the bar for on-site.
Yeah, absolutely. I personally went and picked up this beer, and I loved the way everything kind of was flow. I mean, the flow was nice. You come off the street in one entrance, you kind of come up, you get a chance to see what's available, and then once you get up to the bar, you have that kind of opportunity to chat with the beer tender to try to find out exactly what's right for you. And then as they get you your product, you kind of exit out the backside, so that way you kind of make room for that next the next person. So, and we dropped off some can koozies for you as well.
I saw that. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Great. And what's cool actually about this scenario is it forces people to exit, and you have to kind of walk past by the production area.
Yeah.
And so, you kind of have an opportunity to kind of look at some of the barrels and kind of peek back at the stainless steel equipment that we have and things like that. And so it's a new experience, and it's definitely not what I wish we were doing right now. But I'll be honest, I'm just thankful to be able to keep making beer because keep my staff employed and stuff like
Absolutely.
that.
Exactly. So I was going to ask you too. So the ESB is awesome. We reviewed that one. We love it.
Yes.
Is there another beer you recommend we have to try? Like it's a must.
Yeah. So coming up next week are two beers I'm really excited about. We have a series called the Drinking Chocolate series, and it started a couple of years ago with Mexican drinking chocolate. And then we made an Italian drinking chocolate and a vanilla drinking chocolate. And then last year, for the first time, we added to the portfolio of African drinking chocolate. And so what we do is we actually try to research different chocolate beverages from around the world. So the Mexican drinking chocolate is based off of like a Mayan and Aztec, cacao ceremony beverage. It's a little spicy. It's got cacao, some caffeine. Sometimes they would have coca in it, so we put caffeine in there, coffee, vanilla beans, things like that. So now the African is based off of a drink that I'm going to share the recipe next week when we start to market the beer.
Awesome. It's
kind of cool, but it's based on a hot chocolate drink that's apparently found in West Africa, and it's got hot chocolate, milk, honey, cinnamon, and brown sugar and rum. And so what we did is we used our normal drinking chocolate base, but on the hot side we added honey and brown sugar to the boil, and then when the beer was finished, we recirculated over cocoa nibs and cinnamon, and
Whoa.
Yeah, so it's really neat, and it really actually has this amazing
That'll take on a good flavor.
Baker's chocolate. Yeah, it really does. It's like you're eating a decadent Baker's chocolate bar, or drinking just a really decadent chocolate drink. And what's cool is last year when we made this, we were able to get some rum barrels. And so we have last year's version has been aging for a year in rum barrels, and we're actually pulling the beer out next week to release both this year's fresh version and last year's aged version side by side.
Awesome.
And that's the thing is too, like the hot side, it'll take on a little bit of that. It'll be there, but then anything after that, it really holds on to that stuff. And so anything in an aged, especially if you have a lot of time to age it, you really are going to pick up that rum, and then as well as that kind of that cacao and all that other stuff. So I am really excited to try that.
Yeah, and like you said, on the hot side, any sugars that you add, they're going to ferment out, and they're not going to leave a ton of flavor behind. But, something that we found when making stouts and experimenting with these is the more different types of sugars that you can incorporate on the hot side, not just grain derived. When you mash grains, you're looking for maltose and dextrose and, all different types of sugars. But, we put the brown sugar and the honey in there, which just add more different,
more sugars.
Chains of sugar, and so I feel like it just adds depth after fermentation that you can't necessarily say that's honey, but it's just really interesting at the other end how it tastes. It just adds a lot of layers.
I bet.
Awesome,
I can't
Kyle.
wait for that.
I can't wait. All right, so before we let you go, Kyle, we have to ask you, how Wisconsin are you? And we have about 8 to 10 questions to find out how you fare. You ready for this?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. So where do you consider to be up north Wisconsin?
Oh, man. Anywhere north of Milwaukee County.
Yeah.
Right? See?
That's it, too. It's like...
Not really for me. See, that's what my wife always jokes. She goes,
right.
She's from Colorado. She goes, everything is up north. We live in Wisconsin. Like, what are you talking about?
Everything north is north.
Yeah, but for me, the up north feel is really like, I think Eagle River.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I've got family who lived up there, so we'd always go up there in the summer. And to me, like, until you actually get into the thick of the woods, they don't call the North Woods for nothing. And until you get into the thick of the woods, like, to me, you're not up north yet.
I agree with that. So,
Yeah.
all right, next one I got for you. Being a Milwaukee human being, have you ever closed Wolski's?
Oh yeah, a bunch of times.
Right on.
I used to live on Marshall Street, which is about 3 blocks away.
Sure.
And so we would often find ourselves throwing darts and having popcorn until bar time at Wolski's.
Awesome.
Throwing darts, smoking darts, whatever you got to do, you know?
Totally. Well, I actually have, such an array of closed Wolski stickers and just various, other swag that occasionally they toss you a bottle opener or whatever.
That's what I love. And when you, exactly. The East Side and Wolski, everything is just so good. I love that stuff.
Totally, yeah. I mean, that neighborhood, we'd be at Wolski's or Roman Coin. Some of just like the classics, just having cocktails on, dirty floors.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, so next one I got for you. Have you been to Summerfest, and do you have a memorable band that you saw there?
Yeah, I've been to Summerfest so many times. When we were in, I think the thing about Summerfest for me is when I was really hitting it hard was, high school, or we'd come back from college. And most of them aren't super memorable because we were boozing pretty hard.
Yeah, some of them I don't remember. I mean, there was a few definitely where I was kind of like, I was probably in high school sipping beer, and then, we'd have a trunk or a backpack we'd bring in there and try to sneak it in, throw it over the fence, and then come pick it up later. Or
the plastic water bottle tucked in your pants.
That's what it was. Yeah, for us it was always the water bottle with like some sort of a vodka concoction.
It looks like you're packing a sweet package, but really you just got a vodka slipped in your jeans.
Right. And it was always just really thirsty.
It was always like OAR or Third Eye Blind or somebody like
and
that.
Those bands are always at Miller Lite Oasis.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And it was always the 10 o'clock show. Just absolutely amazing memories that you just you can't necessarily remember them, but you kind of remember them.
Oh, totally. I mean, like the Miller Oasis was like always like high school reunion for us.
Yeah.
Like every time you'd walk through there, you'd run into like 15 people you hadn't seen in a while.
Exactly.
All right. So
I think most memorable though recently, and this is kind of cool. My wife and I were just like, first time going in a while because we got kids and we had the night off, and we popped in and just bouncing around, and we were like, let's just go check out this stage. And we just walked up, and it was the Flaming Lips, and I don't know if you've ever seen that.
No way. Oh, heck
yes, absolutely.
He comes out on this big orb over the crowd.
Yeah.
And like at one point, and then he comes and rides this like weird like glowing unicorn thing. And anyway, we just walked up and got just right to front row. Just like we just kept walking, and right when he was coming down the thing. So that was the most recent memorable experience.
Yeah, Wayne Coyne is absolutely like that iconic version of like rock and roll now. Like
it's so experimental.
He's so cool.
It's great stuff. So, all right. So next question I got for you: have you ever tailgated at a Brewers, Packers, or a Badgers game, or all three?
All three. Oh yeah.
Oh, the trifecta, baby.
You hit it.
Awesome.
Trifecta.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. If you haven't done it, how Wisconsin are you?
That's exactly it. Eric, have you tailgated at Badgers?
I'm constantly reminded that I've never tailgated or been to a Badger game.
Yeah, we rip on them here. So
yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest. I've only been to one Badger game.
Yeah.
So it's
one more
like
than me.
Okay. Well, I'll take that as a win.
Yeah. No, hey. The minute I hit the trifecta, I think is the minute that I become a Wisconsin citizen.
True. Yeah. There's a stamp for that somewhere.
Yeah, it is.
License, I'm pretty sure.
Somebody will stamp my, it'll be awesome. I love it.
Yeah, you're gonna get it on your your hunting card. Looks different.
Yeah.
Your hunting tags.
My fishing license, my passport might even have something. I don't know. I'm excited.
All right. So next question. Supper clubs. Do you have a favorite?
I'm trying to think. Like for me, like supper club means two things. It's brandy old fashions and it's fish fry.
Yep.
And so much of the fish fry lately has just been like different places that I don't know would qualify as supper club. Like Kegel's Inn, for example.
Kegel's Inn.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Phenomenal fish fry, but like, do you call it a supper club? Because like, I don't know. I know Serb Hall closed, and that was kind of a supper club.
Serb Hall was the one, yeah.
Yeah, most of my supper club vibes really kind of go to fish fry because that's when my family would be going to those types of, that establishments.
Yeah. You know what really upsets me about Serb Hall too is that like the year before COVID, anywhere between 2018, 2019, they were doing so much construction to that road too that it was so difficult to even get there. And then all of a sudden 2020 hit, took a giant dump on, any of eating out or anything. And so it really just, I feel like that crazily ended Serb Hall. And Serb Hall was one of those iconic fish fries. So
totally. You have to do it.
Yes.
And thankfully now we still have Lakefront Brewery for fish fry if you really want to, get the Papa vibe going.
Yeah, and Lakefront is just as good of that vibe. So
totally.
All right, so next question. I think we have some in mind now, but is there a beer you recommend to use in beer brats? 1840 beer. Obviously, this ESB is going to be a good one.
This would be a good one.
This is great.
For sure. I like malty beers when I'm making a brat pot. Well, it depends. I go one or two ways. One, am I just reaching into the fridge to grab whatever, easy drinking beer that I have?
The PBR or whatever's been in there for a while.
Exactly. Like I'm a big High Life drinker. And so I always have that on hand, am I doing that because I have it? Or if I have, like an ESB, for example, like we're drinking, that for sure. Malt-driven beers are great with brats. I don't let the pot go as long when I use malty beers, though. It gets a little too caramelized, and it softens the brat up a little quicker. So my light beers, I'll let go a little longer than the dark beers. But I'm really down for whatever. I mean, as long as they've had a nice bath and beer, you're doing great.
That's what I mean, yeah. And honestly, the flavor that you get, I always say, try everything. Do whatever you can to try to help broaden your palate for brats,
Totally. And then I've got friends, and this is a day I'll ask you guys a question if you don't mind. Are you a beer first, char second? Are you a beer char beer, or are you a char beer? I mean, I feel like there's three ways to slice it, and I want to know what you think is the right way.
So I started out as sort of the beer first, and then take it over to the grill. But now I've actually begun to be more of a get it on the grill, put the char marks on there, all indirect heat, and then bring it over to the bath to sort of just finish and get the rest of that flavor, get the onion and get the butter. I always do like
you got it, the
half
butter,
a stick of butter in there with some thinly sliced onions. And that's sort of where it hangs out for like a good portion of the day. Like, it really absorbs, I thought, the flavor. But I mean, we've had so many differing opinions on this show.
Mm-hmm. That's what I love about it.
I'm totally a grill. Bring her on in. Put her on a pan with some beer and onions and butter. I've always been that way.
Yeah.
You get a nice char on the outside.
Yeah.
You get you cut your onions up. You throw, I hate to waste a craft beer, but I like to get the different flavors. So you throw your little craft beer in there, butter, onions, maybe some celery even to get a little more flavor in your bot. Oh my God, it's so good.
So which one are you?
It must have been. I'm a beer first. Hit it hot and just crisp up the outside kind of guy.
Sure.
So I because you got to do it hot and quick though, because if you do beer first, then they get pretty soft. The skin can like crackle pretty easy. So
exactly.
That's what we usually do. But I think it's funny. It must have just been like my mind subliminally like preparing for this interview. But I was at the grocery store, the Grappies. I live in Bayview, so I was at Grappies.
Awesome.
They had some really nice looking sausages, and so we brought some home. We're gonna brat pot today.
Awesome. It's the perfect time of year. It's the grill season.
Tom was doing it too from Lake Louie.
Yeah, Tom Porter said he's taking his shirt off, hitting the grill hard after he gets off the interview with us. So.
Oh yeah. Oh man, it's I mean, there is no off season for grilling in Wisconsin.
No.
I mean, during the polar vortex, it's just like not pleasant to be out there, but it doesn't mean you couldn't.
Right.
The grill will provide enough heat to sustain your life.
Right.
I also lived in Bayview for a short period of time. I had 1022 East Potter. I was over by Bernhardt's.
Yep. Nice.
Yeah. Love that. I love Bayview. I love Walker's Point. Those are my areas, man.
It's so funny. You go from -20 to 40, and it feels like summer. Like you could take your shirt off and just get in shorts. It's so crazy. But
oh yeah. I mean, yesterday we saw this guy walking his kids, and he's wearing like a sweatshirt, and but he's pushing 2 kids, right? So it's like, yeah, you're probably fine. The kids were shivering because they also were not dressed. And we're like, okay, I know you're feeling good right now, but it's only 25 degrees.
Yeah, exactly.
The kids were wearing Giannis Antetokounmpo jerseys and just what the hell, man?
Like trying to tuck their hands in their armpits. You know what I mean? They're freezing.
Going straight
awesome.
Superstar. You know, it's awesome.
Yeah, but hey, you know what? You got to build that thick skin early. Otherwise, they're not going to be grilling in negative 20 degrees like we are.
That's the case.
If you want to be a Midwest dad, you got to train your kids right. You know, standing out there with tornadoes coming. You know,
there wouldn't be any of us if it weren't for some parents that were just a little loose with the amount of clothing or coats or something. You know.
Right, exactly.
New Balance on a Packer jersey. That's that's.
Oh, I thought you were going to say New Balance and a pack of Newports or something.
A pack of Newports. Holy smokes! All right, so Kyle.
Oh, holy smokes! That's a perfect. That was perfect.
I heard you actually say earlier in this interview. You said no, yeah.
Yes, that's Wisconsin.
That's the most Wisconsin thing you can do. Is be like,
yeah,
no. I don't know if they're saying yes or no or yes.
It's kind of an in between. It's the direct.
That's my favorite thing.
For sure.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, no, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so
well, someone you're definitely going to have to get on this podcast is some friend of mine. His name's Kyle. Another Kyle, who is the head brewer at Explorium Brew Pub. He's currently working on a brewery in West Dallas, and it's going to be called Ope Brewing Company.
Oh, sweet name.
In Dallas. So that's pretty Wisconsin, and I feel like you're definitely going to want to get him on.
All right, so I got a couple more questions for you. I got to ask you, what do you call West Dallas as a person from Milwaukee? I mean, we have our names like the Dirty Stal, West Dalica. What is your way to call it out?
I just go with Dallas.
Dallas, we call it Dallas.
Yeah.
West Dalica. There's so many cool names for it.
West Stallion.
West Stallion, hell yeah.
See, West Stallion's a brewery.
West Stallion's a brewery? No way.
Absolutely. It's my friends are there today. I'm missing a dog birthday party today because of this. I'm not kidding. Jessica Wesley is having a birthday for both of her dogs at West Stallion right now.
Well, maybe you could call the bar and order a round of waters for the dogs.
Yeah.
Oh, heck yeah. 2 rounds for the pups.
Yep.
Sergeant Poppins. All right.
Yeah, I was always a Stallis person as well, though. I would say Stallis, you know. I mean, you knew that also just kind of meant dirty Stal. Like
Stalica. There's so many cool names for West Dallas.
Yeah,
man.
you're just dropping the dirty off just to keep it easy to say.
Exactly.
Yeah, right, exactly. Dirty.
It's just like Tosa, you know. Why would you go through all the it's Tosa.
Yeah.
Knock it off.
All right, Kyle, before we let you go, I got one more to ask for you. Other than 1840, is there a brewery tour, or a tap room we have to visit? And it doesn't have to be in Wisconsin either.
Oh, man. So this is only because it's kind of up northy, and I just got some beers from them. So we traded some beers. There's a brewery in Minnesota called Portage.
Portage, sure.
And yeah, they just sent me some beers, and I sent them some back, kind of thing. Like they make very similar kind of things that we do. And so I started looking up their place, and their tap room looks gorgeous.
Awesome.
So not necessarily one that I can recommend from experience, but I can tell you there's one that's on my list of places I want to go to because it looked gorgeous. They've got a big canoe hanging from the ceiling. It's got a probably what I would imagine Leinenkugels and Chippewa Falls vibe.
Cool.
Right.
D up north.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Awesome, Kyle. Thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate you coming on the show, and we can't wait till all this COVID madness is over with, and let's share a beer and talk more brews.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I'd love to slam one with you guys soon.
Absolutely. We will be there.
All right, Kyle. You enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
All right. Get to those brats.
Oh, I'm going to. Yeah, we're going to get it going.
All right. Sounds great.
All right. Cheers.
Bye. All right, that concludes this episode of Wisconsin Drunken History Podcast.
If you enjoyed this vulgar display of Wisconsin, please like and subscribe on whatever streaming platform you prefer. And remember to hit the bell on YouTube to be notified when we release new content.
Also, if you have any suggestions or ideas for future episodes, please send us an email at widrunkenhistory@gmail.com or head over to our Facebook and Instagram pages.
Thanks again for listening, and remember, as always,
watch out for deer on your way home.